Texas, New Jersey, North Dakota, Washington State, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina.
Wow. And
Maryland.
You all have been there with him?
Virginia.
Virginia.
Wow. Chase, how is it for you to be able to see your parents and your support system being able to travel with you and being there for you and actually sitting in those stands supporting you?
Right. I mean, I have to realize that I'm very fortunate for, you know, having support like that, because most kids aren't able to go to these tournaments and, you know, be able to compete. So it's awesome, you know, to have them there, and have them there watching me is a plus too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, extra motivation. And so, Mom, you're not a worrier. Do you usually have signs up or anything with his name?
No, I don't do that. I guess I should start. Especially since he's getting so big, maybe I should start that.
Other son. So you have an older son,
We do.
Joseph.
Joseph, yes, ma'am. And you interviewed him when he got... No, I'm sorry. It was not you. I apologize. No, he actually has a football scholarship. He went here and graduated in 2018, and he is going to the University of Cumberland. So he got a football scholarship.
Look at that.
And he actually is on the wrestling team also. And it was, I believe, last year when Chase was in 10th grade, we went up for a visit, and Chase had to wrestle the college boys there when we got there. So that's always Chase's mindset. It doesn't matter where we go, he wants to wrestle. So he got to wrestle some of the college boys there.
Look at that.
And they were so impressed with him.
Were they? Dad, where does all this work ethic come from with Chase? Like, he's a real go-getter. Like, he feels, you know what I mean? Like, when he sees something, it's like he has to conquer it.
I don't know, honestly. I mean, I'm kind of like, you know, I go from one thing to the other, but when I'm all in on that.
Right.
It usually lasts about a month with me, and this has been going on 10, 11 years, so I don't really know how he did it. It's just, like I say, it's love, I guess.
What gets you going, Chase? Because, I mean, you've got to have a certain type of willpower, for one. And, you know, because it requires a lot from you.
Right.
And it takes a lot out of your family, your finances. So what keeps you going? What keeps you pushing and pushing for that next level?
Yeah, honestly, it's just, you know, the thought of me being the best. You know, I love the sport, and I mean, it's not, like I said, it doesn't even feel like a job, you know, it just feels like I'm having fun. I'm getting better, and just, you know, the drive to be the best is probably what makes me.
Look at that. He's getting ready to go next year. I mean, you know, when you look at each day passing, that's one more day, one less before your baby boy leaves. Yes. Are you kind of already preparing yourself mentally, Mom?
I am, but yet I don't like it. So we already have one son, of course, like you said, that's gone, and he's right at 6 hours away.
Right.
And so Chase will be about 6 hours away.
Dad, how do you feel about all this? What do you
I don't think that far in advance. I worry about what I got to do today and tomorrow. And I worry about the next day when it comes.
I guess I think about, you know, that separation anxiety, things that you're so used to doing, and having him around, you know, as that time gets up there, you're going to start to feel that. And we know he still has a little bit of time left, but, you know, just thinking about those things, and look how bright his future is, you know?
He does.
Chase, what do you want to say to your parents?
I guess thank y'all for everything, and you know, giving me the opportunity to do this, and it's been awesome. Thank y'all for, you know, taking me all over the country and being there for me.
Like your dad says, spending all this money.
Yep.
All of this. I mean, because this is big. This is big, not just for West Lawrence High School, not just for our school district. Dublin, Lawrence County has a #1 in the nation young man here. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, this is so impressive, because you're talking about someone who was born and raised here, come from parents who went to school right here in Dublin, Lawrence County, and has pushed and worked so hard to get to where he is as a junior.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we're hoping that this really encourages some young people out there as well. And of course, you gave words to the younger people, you know, just to kind of encourage them on what they need to do to keep pushing. And, you know, as parents, you know, our journey gets long and hard sometimes. And we've got a lot of parents who are, you know, have those student athletes who are on the road a lot, who are giving so much of their selves and time and sacrificing their family because of those moms.
just keep doing it, and you're not going to have them at home always. So just keep doing it and keep remembering that it's going to pay off. And like I said, one day you're not going to have kids at home. So just remember that and just love them and do what you need to do with them. And I just know as far as Chase, his dreams are to be in the Olympics one day.
Wow.
So we want to make that happen, and whatever we can do to make that possible.
And Dad, this is your baby boy. What do you want to say to other fathers out there? Because it's such a sense of pride that dads have for their children. And when you're talking about those young men, those that you have reared, you know, and to see him and to see them grow into the young men that we see today, what do you want to say to those dads out there?
It's like Chase always says, there's no secret to it. You just have to work harder than everybody else.
Yeah. Work harder.
Yeah, and provide them, you know, do everything you can to provide them those opportunities.
Yeah. And that's what you all are doing. And you know, Chase, you're setting an example, and you put that bar pretty high for other young people to follow. And we're so proud of you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And so with this being your, as a junior, you still have another year
Yes, ma'am.
to push it, to do more things. You have another year to
Right.
impact the lives of those other young wrestlers and those other young students out there, because all eyes are on you, Chase.
Right.
All eyes are on you, not just here, but nationally. People are looking at you. They want to know who this Chase is.
Yes, ma'am.
And if they go to your Instagrams, it says, I am Chase.
I'm Chase White.
All right, so stay focused. We're so proud of you here at Lawrence County School District. We're proud of the young man that you have grown into.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Mom, thank you for the hard work that you've done.
Thank you.
With-
And I would, real quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Would like to say a special thanks to Gerald Carr, his
Yeah.
coach. And of course, you talked to him before.
Mhm.
But without him and without his hard work, we wouldn't be here, because he is a special part of his plan.
Wow.
And of course, Chase does have a God-given talent, and we want to thank the Lord. But Gerald has just always been there for him. Like we said, they've been together since kindergarten. I do want to
Wow.
give a special thanks to him.
And that's a special bond. That's
it
one you'll
is.
never forget.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Chase Horn, who's #1 in the nation for wrestling, is already committed to NC State in Raleigh, North Carolina. And these are his parents, Dina and Jamie. Thank you so much for what you've
Thank
done for
you.
these young men.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
For
you.
Joseph as well.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have here, and we are Team Lawrence.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome into the studios today Brooke Woods, the director of Stepping Stones here in our community. Welcome to you, Brooke.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So good to have you today. You really do stay busy. Unfortunately, there's a tremendous need for advocacy for not only youth, not only minors, but also for adults now. You all are helping adults. You're an advocate for adults who've been victimized, aren't you?
That's correct. We have recently become what's termed a dual center. So we now are able to serve adults as well as children. So we are officially Stepping Stone Child Advocacy and Sexual Assault Center.
It's important for people to know because things happen in our community. And recently I learned from you all that the atmosphere in which you operate is a very private, very one-on-one type of, or two or three, helping one opportunity for people rather than going to law enforcement. And, we've seen movies in the past. We've heard about the drama of people. How in God's name does a person who's been victimized like that go before law enforcement, explain that, explain it to another law enforcement, explain it to a doctor, explain it to a lawyer, and then they may go around again.
Yes, you said it exactly. That was one of the main reasons that child advocacy centers came into being, is because we determined back in the 80s that children were being victimized over and over again every time they had to tell their story. So from the first time they disclosed till possibly the 5th or 6th or even 10th time, repeating the story to different people. So when you come to a child advocacy center, after there's been a disclosure to someone, we ask that, mandated reporters ask very few questions, just to DFACS or law enforcement, they call Stepping Stone in, and we step in and we perform what's called a forensic interview with the child, and we basically just let the child tell what happened, and that is recorded so that they don't have to repeat it. And then, you know, it's pretty much the same way with adults too. When an adult can call our crisis line and tell what has happened, they can then come straight to Stepping Stone. Don't have to go to the hospital, don't have to go out where other people might find out what's going on. They can come straight there, and we'll take care of the forensic medical exam. We advocate for the children and the adults. We refer to counseling. So pretty much everything they need can be taken care of in that one place.
Yeah. And it's become known to me, ladies and gentlemen, that many times these perpetrators do it over and over again. It's not like it happens one time and they go away. They prey on the weak. They count on people not stepping forward.
That is absolutely true. What we hear all the time is a lot of times when a mother or a family member brings a child in, they'll say to us when we're talking to them afterwards, they'll say, well, the same thing happened to me when I was young, but my family swept it under the rug. They didn't do anything about it. And if you were to do any studies or reading about perpetrators, you would see that 30 victims. Most of them have multiple victims, and it's because a lot of times the victim does not come forward. And a common, you know, if you think about the news and the big cases that you've seen in the news with gymnastics or with some of the other high-profile cases, you see in those, there were tons of victims. And what we see that is really concerning is that this behavior usually starts in children. And so they repeat that behavior. And if that behavior is not corrected, they will end up as an adult victimizing other children. And so we also have a program at Stepping Stone where we help children with problematic sexual behavior, because it is a huge problem. Abuse happening within the home, happening between siblings, things of that nature. And people sometimes think they're doing the right thing by pushing it under the rug, but they're not. And we are there, you know, to help the child. And that's what we have to try to get those families to understand, that we're not only helping the victimized child, but we're helping the child who may have perped on someone in the home, because we don't want them to become an adult and repeat that behavior.
So let's talk about that as far as let's just look at it, ladies and gentlemen, as you have a problem as a youth. Whatever the problem may be, learning disorder, you get into alcohol or some way get a pill bottle and get into drugs. It's the same situation. If you don't get help, you're going to continue down that wrong road. You must get that young person help. And here's the advantage of Stepping Stone. You go to them privately, individually, on the spotlight, so to speak.
Yes.
You're into a very private, nurturing, healing environment that takes, because the perpetrator, if they're a child, they're a victim too.
Exactly. The majority of the time they've been victimized themselves, and so they're basically just repeating that behavior. And so it takes behavior modification. You have to teach them that's wrong, and they can't keep doing that. And even we've done studies and listened to adult perpetrators, and they will tell you, if you ask them when their behavior started, the majority of them will tell you that it started when they were a child. And that's why I feel so passionate about doing something about these behaviors and getting people to understand that, you know, it has to be extremely difficult for a parent if that were to happen, because they're both your child, you know, they're your children.
Sure.
But you're not doing them any good if you push it under the rug or you just try to handle it yourself. We can get the children into counseling, we can get them into a program that will help both children in that respect.
Yeah, and then bring back that nucleus of the family so that it
Yes.
functions properly. Don't just keep going forward and you lay awake at night worried about stuff like that. You have to.
Yes.
As much as you worry about your children if they're making good choices.
Right.
But when a poor choice is made, you have to reconcile that some way. You have to help them heal. And I'm just in awe of what y'all offer, of the facility, the atmosphere, the vibe there, and the love that's shared, the ability to communicate with each other. And it seems to me transform that. When I walked through the facility and received a tour of how you help that young child, or how you help that adult, you sit and talk to them, and then you record it so that it doesn't have to be over and over again, and you have local law enforcement who 100% believe in what you all do.
Yes.
Because they know it's for the betterment of that child or that adult. And when we look at adults, Brooke, and now being able to help an adult who goes through an issue of someone taking advantage of them, justice needs to be served, first of all.
Absolutely. And it's kind of a new thing with us serving adults. Our sexual assault nurse has been performing forensic medical exams with them for some time now. But just like with the children, the adults feel so much shame and they blame themselves and they ask, well, what could I have done differently? Or, something to that effect. Was I wearing the wrong thing? Did I act the wrong way? And it all boils down to the fact that nobody should be victimized in that way. It doesn't matter if you're 3 years old or if you're 90 years old. What happens with your body is your decision, and it's not something that should be forced upon anyone. And we really try to help that person that comes in broken to feel victorious as they leave, to empower them to say, I've done the right thing. I've done something for myself. I've tried to get justice where this is concerned. And the other thing that I think is so important is for people to realize if one person doesn't tell, there's going to be another victim. And there's going to continue to be victims until that person is strong enough to stand up. And so we often tell the victims that come that, you're a hero to us.
Right.
Because you don't know how many people you could have saved down the road from being victimized. Whether you're an adult that comes forward, a teenager, a young child, you really are the hero in all of this because you are stepping forward to help do something about the problem.
Yeah, I love that, Brooke. That's the truth. It really is. It's gripping to people. It's gripping to me when I hear these things, when I'm exposed to these stories, and when I hear about these children, these adults who have to go through this, and just how much. We're going to talk about that healing a little bit more in just a moment. We'll take a short break and be back with Brooke.
Hi, I'm Don Carswell with Dublin Nissan. Every day we are thankful for our loyal customers and all of our new ones too. Dublin Nissan, the only dealer you'll ever need.
It's nothing personal. It's just business.
Hello?
That's how some people do things.
Right away.
To us, everything we do is personal. Because anyone can answer the call. It's who shows up that matters most. That's the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them.
Ask Curry Maffett Insurance in Dublin if auto owners make sense for you.
So, Brooke, it all starts with the right relationship, with showing love to others. And
Yes.
when I went out and I met a couple of your board members, I met Anthea, the nurse, or you would call her a
Sexual assault nurse.
sexual assault nurse, trained in forensic examinations.
Yes, yes. And we also have a new nurse that is coming on with us, Amy Lowry, that some people in the community might know. But yes, they are specially trained to basically gather evidence. It is a very emotional and difficult thing to do these exams with children and adults because that person just has been through so much. So you really have to have somebody that's compassionate types of people.
Yeah.
It's not something that everybody can do. And both Anthea and Amy have such a kind heart and such a sweet spirit with these people that they, the victim feels comfortable with them. And it is very important we have great relationships with our law enforcement. They do such a great job, both the city police and the sheriff's department, of letting us do the part that we are experienced and trained to do.
Yes.
And so that's important, that it's done the correct way and the evidence is gathered so that hopefully justice can be served.
Yeah. And as I started to say, I felt that compassion, and you just went right on into it. That's perfect, Brooke, because that's what I really want people to understand. You feel that love and that communication when you go in. And Brooke, some people may come on their own, I would assume, but some people would go to a friend or someone and confide in them, and maybe they come with you.
Absolutely. We often with the adults, someone will come with a friend because it's really hard to do by yourself.
My goodness.
And the children, they are accompanied usually by a caregiver, because what is very important for the public to realize too is that in most of these cases, the perpetrator is someone that the family knows. Long ago we used to hear about stranger danger all the time, and don't go take, a piece of candy from the guy that has a puppy. But we see, and the statistics are extremely high, like 85% of the time, the family knows, has a relationship, trust the person that is doing the victimization, which is so sad because you don't want to go around,
Right.
but those are the facts. So
always know where your children are.
Yes.
Right? What's going on with your child?
Yes.
Don't just let them go
and ask them questions. If they've been over to somebody's house or they've been with someone, or you see somebody taking up extra time with them, I mean, that's great. And we want that to happen for our kids. But you still need to be aware that there's a possibility something might be going on. And the same is true for adults. We've had very few cases where the adult victim, did not know who the person was. It's just not common. But we've seen men and women, and we see boys and girls. We see rich and poor. There's no, abuse and assault does not discriminate. It can happen to anybody at any time.
Yeah, that sickness that a person has, that problem that a person has, it's not defined by socioeconomical standing, anything like that.
No.
They're sick. They have a problem.
That's
Something
correct.
may have happened to them, or whatever the case may be.
Correct.
There's so many temptations out there that sometimes people just can't get a grip on themselves, and they're going to need a little help in getting straightened out.
That's right.
And you all can help them get straightened out. And again, the process is just one time. You go in, you speak to professionals. So let's talk just for a moment now, because in my understanding, and speaking to some of your board members, some trained counselors, there's a way to qualify, and then you move forward. You don't expound the situation. You don't go into what you think are the questions to
Right.
ask. There are a few questions to qualify, right?
Well, and I basically tell parents, tell first responders, tell people where, what, and when. Basically, they need to know what happened, where it happened, and if possible, when it happened. Of course, children aren't great on time frames, but knowing what happened, a simple explanation, don't ask them a bunch of questions. Once you have that report, once your child or an adult, a friend, has made a disclosure to you, that's when you contact law enforcement or DFACS, or you can call our crisis line, and we will help walk you through the process. But if a friend might tell you something that you need to call in and report, but you don't need a lot of information to get the ball rolling. That's for us to do and to gather the evidence and to gather the information once they come to the center.
And Brooke, to come in with a false claim you would be able to determine that pretty quickly.
Well, it's, I say, I wish I was a lie detector and I could tell every person that was lying or telling the truth when I'm talking to them. But there are situations and there are times when we can tell that a child has been coached by someone, encouraged to say something that might not be factual. That's always something that you have to take into consideration. And through asking the questions and going through the process, there's usually a pretty good idea of whether or not they're telling the truth. Yeah. So I think between us and law enforcement and the other people that view the interviews of the child or the adult, that you can pick up on that pretty good.
Yeah, but don't, in other words, ladies and gentlemen, don't be deterred by, I'm not sure, that doesn't sound right. If you're in doubt, just turn to the private professionals at Stepping Stone. Go into that, I'll say, intimate environment. Go into that personal environment that they have. Nobody else is going to see you coming and going.
That's right. And if you're a parent of a child, of course you're not going to want to believe if somebody close to you has done something.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing. We're on the outside, so we're not connected to the people. But if the family members are usually connected, whether it's a friend or